Hey, it's Leela. I hope you're doing well. I wanted to talk about a subject that seems to be quite popular right now, teaching by rote. And the reason why I am going live today is because a number of you are going Baroque. And I wanted to share how I like to teach one of my favorite Baroque pieces by rote. And that piece happens to be Musette, which is found in the Anna Magdalena Bach notebook. Before I get started, let's just talk about why rote might be a good way for you to be teaching in your studio. And you probably know the benefits already, but I'm just going to cover them really briefly. And I have one point that I want to make that I think maybe people don't think about all the time. First of all, we know that rote can breed confidence and success in a student. Just when they're feeling like they can't do it because the reading portion gets so hard, if we can find a piece that feels good and sounds good and uses the pedal and the entire keyboard, that's going to keep them on the bench. One of my favorite pieces of all times to do just that with a student is Robert Vandel's Sky Blue. It's based on the heart and soul pattern, the C, A minor, F, G chords. And I teach it mostly by rote, but we do go through how it looks on the page as well. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that with the Musette as well. Thanks, Hetty, for joining me. Good to see that you're here. And now the next thing is, because I like rote pieces so much and because I think it breeds success, I always kick off my fall term with everyone learning a pattern piece. And that's what I call it. I don't tell them it's a rote piece. I just call it a pattern piece. And then they'll think, well, what's a pattern piece? Well, they'll soon find out what a pattern piece is because there's so many patterns in it. There's a lot of repetition. And I teach all of those pieces semi by rote, kind of like what you're going to see me do with Bach or with the Musette. All right, so also the beauty of teaching by rote, it takes out that middleman. It takes out being so obedient to that score, and you can just have fun playing. Sometimes that's what we need to do. It's very easy for us teachers to forget that that can be fun to make beautiful music on the piano because we're so geared towards them understanding what's on the score. And then, like I said, you can use the whole keyboard. It just gives that feeling of satisfaction to a student, especially one that may be kind of just stuck right around middle C. Rote pieces really let the student explore beyond middle C. And of course, it enhances reading skills. Well, what? You might say, why? This is the point that I want to make is I will use the score and I'll have that setting maybe in front of me, maybe in front of them. I don't take it away, but we mark it up quite a bit so that they can remember what we're talking about as they're learning things by rote. So they're actually using this as a blueprint, and we'll see how things look. Even though they may not understand everything, they'll get a general picture of the idea, what's behind what they're playing. So I do think that it will enhance reading, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when I begin with the Musette. And the other thing I think about rote that is so good is it takes a certain temperament as a teacher. We have to talk less and play more. And I think that's good for all of us to remember in our teaching is we play, they play. It's going to hone their listening skills in a whole new way. So let me move forward then. I'm going to play Bach Musette, just a little bit of it. It's this one right here. That one right there, okay? You probably have all taught it before, so maybe this is nothing new, but I hope that I can share a couple of things that maybe you can use the next time you're going to teach this piece. First of all, it's in a 5-finger pattern that I would assume my student would know before we would play this piece. It's in that D 5-finger pattern. So I might just have them review that, and then I would play the first part of it and see if they could echo me. And I'd say, I'm in the 5-finger pattern, and which way am I moving? Oh, we're going down. Now, they may not get that rhythm right away. So bear with me, but I found some words that worked with this rhythm because with a student, we were talking about rhythm and we couldn't find the right words, but I found out that the student was hungry and his mom was in the room. And so I came up with this phrase, Mom what's for dinner? Mom, what's for dinner? So that's how we started learning that rhythm, and it stuck with him. And of course, he was giggling because he thought that was so funny. So here are some phrases that could go with that question. Here we go. Mom, what's for dinner? Mom, what's for dinner? Okay, one of them is chicken soup and a grilled cheese sandwich. That works, okay, because we know the question or the answer to that question is chicken soup and a grilled cheese sandwich. Works really well. Or you could do barbecue chicken and some coleslaw, or meatball spaghetti and some red sauce, or one more, tacos with cheese and guacamole. All of those work. Now, you might find something that works much better than that, but it worked for me on that day, so I just wanted to make sure that I gave you some phrases just in case, you know, you're running out of ideas and you need some quick and fast. So how would I teach that? First of all, Mom, what's for dinner? Mom, what's for dinner? And then I would have them echo me, but I would have them stay right up in this portion of the piano. And they may struggle with that just a little bit, but the rhythm would come because they would sing chicken soup and a grilled cheese sandwich. And pretty soon they would get that and it would feel pretty good. But notice I kept my hand in that same position. I didn't have them shift it down like it says in the score, not yet. Then I move over to the left hand. And you probably can't see I'm going to move it up here so you can see. One of the things with small hands that's important is I don't want kids to really stretch their hand out and get all freaked out that they can't reach that. Number one, if a student just has small hands, I would just have them play maybe that low note down here. And by the way, I would locate that. I'm going to move my camera just a little bit so that you can see. I would locate that. I know this is complete opposite for you, I'm sorry, by a term that they are familiar with. This D that they're going to start on is right next to deep blue C. My students have labeled all their C's on the piano. So deep blue C is that one right there. So they're going to start right above that. D is in the doghouse. And one other thing to think about when they stretch their hand out, I tell them their hand is like stretching a rubber band. They may stretch, but then it comes back to its normal shape. And bring the arm behind each finger so that the arm is helping and that the fingers don't get fatigued. So then we would learn that. And I would have the student do that over and over again and explain that a musette is actually a piece for a bagpipe. And what they're playing right now is called the drone part, where there's just that constant D sound like a bagpipe. Then while they do that, I would play the top part. And maybe just play that left hand. I know that's not exactly the way it's written, but I just want them to lock into that feeling of those steady eighth notes. Now, once they've got both parts, I would start talking about moving down to that, shifting that part down, shifting the answer portion of that down to middle C position instead of by what we call face C position. So that would be something new that they would have to adjust to. And if they have a hard time doing that, maybe play the thumb and then jump to the F sharp. Just isolating. And then pretty soon they would get that as well. And now, of course, the trick is putting hands together. That's the hardest part, but it's kind of fun. And this part comes if you've got the words, Mom, what's for dinner? Mom, what's for dinner? They can hook that up pretty easily. Now here comes the hard part, right? So what they could do, if you make it easier, just get used to playing both hands together while the right hand stays up higher by what I call face C. But when they're ready to do that shift, then I may have them just do something like this. Put their thumbs on both D's where they're finishing and practicing finding that F sharp. But wait a minute, we haven't added the left hand yet. That's the beauty of when you play something hands together. I say the right hand is super smart and the left hand is kind of like a puppy dog and just follows along whatever it's told to do. So this is where I say, okay, now you got to make the right hand teach the left hand how to play that portion. So chicken soup with, what was it? Chicken soup and a grilled cheese sandwich. Okay, just getting both of those hands ready to go on that part. And getting used to that. Then they could work on putting those two together, but naturally, oop, there's going to be a gap. That's okay. I just get their hands set and they go from there. So I don't care what the gap is. And they may go home with a gap like that, and that would be enough for today. That's all we would talk about. But hopefully we'd have enough time to start practicing finding thumbs on D and then going to that F sharp. So going back and forth and see if they can manage that. And then just practicing that little portion together. And then this freeze. Doing that over and over again. I would play, they would play. Getting to know that sound and how it feels. It's a big deal and it's a big leap. But they're in for the ride, so to speak. They kind of like that challenge and it feels good, it sounds good. Now, then the real test is, can they start playing hands together and find that F sharp in time? So then I love to, let's see, I think I like hard rock. I like to just pull something out that they're going to feel that steady beat and they're going to be loyal to it because they like that beat. So stop. Just do that. Of course, they're going to want to carry on. Then we could go for the whole thing. Okay. Then, of course, the next test is, oh, wait a minute. Oh, now I got to get it back here in time. What happens is I don't even have to point some of those things out to them. That beat is already telling them, ooh, they got to get back, and there they go. It's magic. They just seem to find it. But of course, if that's hard, you can end on the D and then practice. For accuracy, some people may have a problem of, okay, which hand do I look at? So I will have them plan. I'm going to look at D, then I'm going to look at my A, and then I'm going to look at this D. I'll have them figure out what they want to do. I notice that I look a little bit at my right hand and then I look at my left hand while they're doing that. Right, left. And we just focus on where their eyes are going to look for that leap. And lo and behold, all of a sudden it comes. And like I said, when you make them loyal to that steady beat, they just don't want to miss it. So that's how I would teach the first two lines. Oh, and then it changes, of course. I'll play. I'll ask them what sounds different, see if they can match it. And that's what I like to do is instead of telling them that it's different, just have them listen to it. Is it the same or different? Ooh, what happened? See if they can match it without me telling them at first. And some of them may get it, some of them may not. I'm happy to feed them all the information I can and play it over and over again until they can figure it out. And we may even point it out on the sheet before they go home. In fact, one of the things that I'll do is I will make some labels in here. We'll write D down here, and then I'll write deep blue C, so they remember that it's by deep blue C. And I'll write a D major 5-finger pattern because they know that their right hand is going to be playing that D 5-finger pattern and then traveling down to the one that's close to middle C. And then I may even put some arrows and put an arrow right here. And ooh, I forgot that I usually like different colors or different shades. So I've got one right here. I have a light green and then I have a dark green. So I might put a light green by the first ending and then a darker green by the second ending, just to remind them that they're a little different. So a couple of different, I don't know, vocabulary words or lingo that I write in there to help them remember. One other thing that I really like to do to make sure that they go home and know what they're doing right is to record them playing the piece correctly. And then I text it to mom or dad if the kids don't have a phone of their own. And then that's evidence that yes, they can do it. And then also it's just reinforcement of what it should sound like when they get back home. Because, you know, the ear does forget. My audio files aren't all that strong. I need to hear things over and over again. So that would be lesson number 1. Then when they come back, they know they're going to be in for some other fun things. And then I would start talking about, well, what's the 5 chord in the key of D? Oh, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, it's A. Ooh, what's the A major 5-finger pattern? Ah, there it is. Okay. Hey, do you think that you can copy that same left-hand drone? Oh, yeah. Ooh, that's easy. Okay, I can do that. And now, let's find the A major 5-finger pattern in the right hand. Okay, but now I'll play it for them. And with some guided listening, they'll notice that the left hand stays pretty much the same, ooh, but it changes at the end. And then how are you going to figure out what to do with the right hand? Well, it stays in that A major 5-finger pattern, and then it pops out of it just a little bit. Ooh, and I came up with some words for this one as well. Let's see, hurry up, it's so late. I just want some dinner and some ice cream. Okay, so you can use that if you want to, but hurry up, it's so late. I just want some dinner and some ice cream. Okay, it works pretty well. And just keeping that 5-finger pattern, I might have them start. I noticed in this edition it says finger 2. I would probably have them start on finger 3 so they know they're in that A major 5-finger pattern. And then they have to hop out of it up to A. But by then, they're getting used to some leaps and they go back to that E. So that's not so hard. And then go back to that A position. And I would just stop right there. So I might just teach that first. Get back to the A position. And they could even go up to there. And then they have to jump out of that A position down to that E. And then I would kind of follow that same process that I showed you already. By the way, Post-its are my best friends. If you ever want to isolate something that's a little tricky and you're working on hands together, or if you want them to just notice something and stop, I will just put it, right specifically, stop right there, don't go any further. Ooh, it goes up to B, don't go any further, and then we will add that last leap right there. So again, I'm kind of using the score, I'm using their ear as well. And then the next line, this is the tough line. There's a lot of things going on here. The left hand, now we're back on E. Well, wait a minute, how did we get to E? Well, let me see. We're playing the 5-finger pattern on A. What's the 5 of A? Oh, that's E. This is a great time to pull out that circle of keys, which if you were at our recent chord webinar at 88 Creative Keys, I gave out personal circle of keys that you can use with all your students, and this would be a great time to pull that out. This is the fun thing about rote pieces, or teaching by rote as well. You can apply the theory. The theory is going to help them remember what to do next. And so let's see, we were started in the key of G, now we went to A, and now the left hand all ventured over to E. But it makes sense because those are all right next door to each other and they're all dominant. So I may not even say that to them right away, but most of my students know what the 5 of something means. So then we're hooked on this E right here. Now this is the hard part. So this is what I do with this section right here, is I just have them just with 3rd finger, just 3rd on E, just 3rd on D, 3rd on A. Just getting used to those notes and jumping in between them. That's quite a bit already. But they learn that pretty fast. And then we talk about, ooh, can you play a half step below? Well, what's a half step? I may just play it for them first and see what's a thing copy. And then we can talk about, oh, what's a half step? Oh, yeah. It's their notes right next door to each other. And then they add a half step beneath each one of them. So they may do just that. Now, of course, I skipped one important part, and that's the fun. That's the bonus note. So then that's the challenge. Can you plug in that E down low? Then I want them to listen to how long that D is. And then they may play that once that is mastered, and then I'll play the left hand. And they got it. Now, of course, that's sufficient for the next lesson, just those 2 lines. And it may be that we only get to line 3, and this would be the next lesson. So lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3. And then I always like them to take a peek. Hey, what's the good news about this piece? And they'll notice, oh, wait a minute, there's the beginning again. And, you know, just for fun, you could always come up with some fun names for the sections. Maybe, I don't know, you know, chicken soup is this section, ice cream is this section, whatever they want to. Then, when we get to this part, that part's not so bad. This is the scary part coming up. And I tell them that. Now, this is the big challenge, but what I do is I teach it backwards. So I will start from way over here and, again, relating to what they know already. So I'll start on that D, and they'll find a 5-finger pattern, and I'll say, copy this. Oh, yeah, I get that. That's not such a problem. Okay, so they've got that. And then what I do is I have them take that up an octave and do it again. Ooh, that's not so bad. I can do that. And then can you hook those two parts together? So it's one down here and then one up here. Now, of course, I'm not playing exactly the same. So then I change it just a little bit. Hey, can the left hand just freeze? Sorry. So we tweak it just a little bit. We notice that there's a lot of the same things, but something just a little bit different in the left hand. Okay, and then we come into the hardest measure of the whole piece. I don't know why. Lots of composers like to do this. They throw in one wrench, but I'm always determined that the student will get it eventually. So we've already talked about there's only 3 more notes that they need to learn in either hand. And first of all, it's the right hand. That's not so bad. I'm in an A major position. Pop out of it, come back in. Left hand, a little bit harder. This is the tricky part. I agree. That's the hardest part. Then, when they've learned both parts, and I may use the book or the notes with them, we may try and name them, but then when they're ready, this is when I really isolate and I have them just play that note. Okay, that was easy. And then we add the next one. Ooh, that was hard. Okay, do that over and over again. And I may play it and then they may copy me. So we'll do kind of a mix of both. And eventually it comes. And again, taking pictures and videos of the students playing it correctly and sending it home with them is really going to give them the reinforcement they need and the courage they need to get it done. But this may take, you know, about 4 or 5 lessons for them to manage. But then the good news, they're home free, right? It's bonus. Once they get through that last part, they're back to the beginning. Now, just so you know, I have an edition here that doesn't have some of the slurs and the staccatos that is found in some other editions, but I would add those in. Usually there's that slur and then the staccato. We might add that in, and I would play it over and over again until they can echo that, and I feel confident that they feel confident with how it sounds and how it feels. So that is how I teach Musette, and it's one of my favorite pieces from the Baroque period to teach by rote. I probably wouldn't do a lot of other ones by rote because they're too hard, but anything that has that left-hand drone is a great way to, you know, introduce students to a Baroque piece. It feels good, it sounds good, they're playing all over the piano, and they get to do some fun leaps. And so I highly recommend trying that. And like I said, I do a mix of rote and reading both. We use this as a blueprint. We mark it up. We use arrows, color code, whatever you need to. I love tape too. And some of my students are really into, you know, color coding. What's the same, what's different. So you could always do that as well. That will highlight certain sections just a little bit more if they need to. All right, so I think I talked about everything that I wanted to. I have a little pumpkin out here because it's fall and we grew this in our garden. I hope you're enjoying the fall season. And I just want to remind you that at 88pianokeys.me, Andrea West has created some amazing fall graphics that you could use for program covers if you've got a fall recital coming up. Magnets. I'm even thinking about making some magnets out of her graphics and delivering them to our our retirement home that we're going to go play at. Last time I brought some ornaments, and I know they love the little gifts that we bring along with us as we go ahead and play for them. So I might be doing that, but check those out because she does such beautiful work, and I think you would find them lovely and perfect for any kind of fall occasion that you might have. Maybe it's not even piano related. They're just beautiful. Thank you all for joining. It seems like I've got some people. Oh, someone was asking, which book am I using? You know what? I'm all out of the books that I normally use. This is Essential Keyboard Repertoire. This is edited by Lynn Freeman Olson, so it's kind of an older resource copy. I don't use it as much. I usually use Keith Snell's Essential Keyboard Repertoire. That series, because it has a mix of different pieces, or I'll use that same series, just the Baroque and classical books. For some reason, I like how those are printed. I also do like a lot of, excuse me just a minute here, the Faber Repertoire, the artist series. I use a lot of those books as well, and they have a lot of Baroque pieces in there as well. So hopefully I answered that question. Any other questions, or if you want to have any more discussion, I'm gonna finish up here, but I will also post this video at my group called Piano Pedagogy on and Off the Bench. And this has mostly been on the bench today, but I hope you found it helpful. And I like to start a discussion, stir up things, and hear how you do things. And I'd love to know if this was helpful at all, or if you've heard it all and you don't need me to say anything more. But I'd love to hear from you. So thank you. I hope you do have a great day. We have sunshine here in Colorado, which I'm thankful for because it's been quite rainy for quite some time. And take care, and let's talk soon again. Bye.